the Americans have this strategy that worked in Libya and Syria and other places, but it's not going to work in Iran. In fact, it's going to do the opposite in Iran. Okay? And then you're like, well, why don't the Americans not do this? And I already told you, because it's an empire, okay? It doesn't care about Iran, it cares about itself. And so it's sort of stuck with this policy because remember, it's trying to win this war as quickly as possible because it doesn't have the manufacturing capacity to fight this war for a long time. It's trying to reduce as many casualties among its soldiers as possible because the Americans don't have the political will to fight this war. America's trying to win this war cheaply and fast. And if it doesn't, then America's in a lot of trouble. Okay, does that make sense, guys? All right, let me now let me now discuss the Iranian strategy, okay? So what the Americans are using is a classic strategy called siege warfare. Okay? And so what the Iranians are going to do is they're going to respond with a classic strategy called guerrilla warfare. Okay, and guerrilla warfare, guys, it's just simple, it's hide and seek. Alright? So you come bomb me with everything you have, I'll just hide in my mountains. And then when you leave, what am I going to do? I'm going to attack your GCC countries. I'm going to lob drones, rockets at you. I'm going to lob rockets at Israel. Okay? I don't have to strike that hard. I just have to be a pain in the ass. Okay? Because then what happens is you're forced to come back and bomb the living hell out of me. But guess what? I'll just hide in my mountains again. It's hide and seek. Okay? So Iran can do this for years and years and years. But again, remember, America is forced to win this war as fast as possible because there is no political will, they don't have manufacturing capacity, and they don't want that many casualties and economic damage, okay? Does that make sense, guys? All right, so that's all Iran's gonna do. Iran's just gonna be a pain in the ass, okay? A pain in the ass. It's trying to create as much economic damage as possible. It's trying to create as much fear as possible, all right? Which will force America to attack. The grand question is this: will America launch a ground invasion? Okay? Because if it does, then they've lost the war, okay? All right? Because look at Iran, okay? Mountains and mountains, deserts. It is impossible to occupy this country. All right? It's impossible to invade. And what the Iranians want to do is be such a pain in the ass to commit so much guerrilla warfare that America is forced to invade, okay, from over here and from over here and from over here and from over here, and then eventually. But the problem is that America doesn't have the resources, the political will, the manufacturing capacity to fight this war. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So now you're like, okay, I understand all this. But why the hell is this war happening then? Like, if I can tell you this, okay, I'm sure that their generals can tell them this as well. I'm sure that they know that this was the case. In fact, for years, America has been planning to invade Iran, and for years, the generals was like, no, that's suicidal, let's not do this, okay? So why is this happening? And unfortunately, we don't know, because the administration is not telling us. At first, Trump is like, oh, because the nuclear talks didn't go well. But we know for a fact that the Iranians were willing to agree to all terms of the Americans. And then Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State, he came out yesterday and he said something really moronic. He said that, why did we attack Iran? Because we heard the Israelis were going to attack first. And then the Iranians were going to respond by attacking both the Israelis and us, the Americans. And therefore we have to preempt the Israelis by attacking first. That's just retarded, okay? All right? So they don't know why they're doing this. But there has to be a reason, right? Okay, well, a clue is this. A clue is this. The soldiers are being asked, the American soldiers are being asked to fight this war. And again, no one knows why this war is happening. But there's reporting that the generals are telling the soldiers, this is a war for Jesus. This is a war to create the second coming of Jesus, okay? This is Jonathan Larson, and he's writing this on Substack, okay? U.S. troops were told Iran war is for Armageddon, the return of Jesus. What is this? Okay, some soldiers who are not Christians were told that this is a war for Jesus, and like, wait a minute, we're not Christians, we're Muslims or we're atheists. Why are we fighting this war? And so they filed a complaint about this speech, okay? And we're going to read a part of this email that the soldiers who were dissenting sent to some other people to complain about this, okay? So, could you read, please?
I am a NCO rank withheld in our unit. This morning, our commander opened up the combat readiness status briefing by urging us to not be afraid as to what is happening with our combat operations in Iran right now.
Stop, okay, afraid. This word tells us they're losing the war, okay? Right? Keep on going.
He urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. God's divine plan? God's not the one ordering them to fight this war. It's Trump or the American military, okay? This is kind of weird. Keep on going.
And he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. He said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth.
Oh my God. President Trump, the fire in Iran. It's all part of a grand plan to destroy the world so that Jesus will return. What is this crap? Okay, keep on going.
He had a big grin on his face.
Okay, he's happy about this, guys. The world is ending. Yeah! Keep on going.
When he said all of this, which made his message seem even more crazy. Our commander would probably be described as a Christian first supporter. He's been this way for a very long time and makes it clear that he desires all of us under him to become just like him as a Christian. But what he did this morning was so toxic and over the line that it shocked many of us in attendance at the Ops Readiness briefing. Besides myself, I am reaching out to MRFF on behalf of 15 fellow troops. I know you asked me about the religious views of our group who has requested help from the MRFF. I can only tell you that I am Christian, and at least 10 of the others are also Christians. One of the others is Jewish and one is Muslim. I don't know the religious or non-religious status for the other 3 at this time.
Okay, so what is happening is that there's some crazy Christians in the American military, in the American government, okay, that want to use this war to end the world, to force Jesus to return. That is why this war is happening. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the reason why, but I'm saying like this is a possibility, okay? All right, this is Trump, and these are all religious leaders that support Trump because they see him as the Messiah. They see him as this great hero who will cause the triumph of Christianity and the return of Jesus. And that's a possibility as to why this war is being fought, okay? Because quite honestly, there's no other reason. It's hard for me to come up with another reason, okay? All right, so this is something that we will look at as we go along. What is this crap? What is Christian Zionism? Why would they think that this war in the Middle East will cause the return of Jesus, okay? We'll discuss this later on. But now it leads us to another problem, which is our entire class is on game theory, right? Guys, this is kind of weird because what this suggests is that religion is more important, okay? So what's the point of game theory if people don't play by game theory? If they're just religious fanatics, all right? And the answer is this, it's still game theory. But the problem is that what you think The game that you think they're playing is not the game they're playing. The reward that you think they want is not the reward that they want, okay? We think in terms of material things, okay? So money, resources, power. We think that the war is being fought over these things. And it's not, all right? The grand secret, the grand reveal of the semester, of this course is this. The real power, the real currency in the world is not money. It is human consciousness. Or basically attention. Okay? This is it, guys, okay? Once you understand this idea, you understand everything. But this is a hard idea to understand, so I'll need some time to actually explain this, all right? This war is being fought to control the consciousness of the human race. Because it is our consciousness that creates reality itself. That's the source of all wealth and all power in this world. Okay? That's why this is happening. In other words, this is a war not just for Iran. This is a war not just for the Middle East. It is a war for the soul of humanity. This is what's happening, guys. All right? This is what World War III is.